Autumn is a time of plenty in North America. It's a chance to prepare for the coming season of winter, a time of cold, of famine, and darkness. This Micmac tale is called The Bear Man. It comes from the indigenous peoples of the northeastern coastal woodlands stretching from the state of Maine to Canadian Quebec. Translated, the word Micmac means the family. The text used in this retelling comes from a book called Dover Children's Thrift Classics, Favorite North American Indian Legends, edited by Phillip. Let's begin. A man went hunting in the mountains, and he came across a black bear, which he wounded with an arrow. The bear turned and started to run, but the man followed, shooting arrow after arrow after arrow into the bear without bringing it down. Now this bear was a medicine bear, meaning that the bear was a wizard, and this particular bear could talk or could understand the thoughts of people without their ever saying a word. At last the bear stopped and pulled the arrows from his side. He gave them to the man, saying, "It is no use for you to shoot at me, for you cannot kill me. Come to my home and let us live together." The hunter thought to himself, "He may kill me." But the bear read his thoughts and said, "No, I won't hurt you." The man thought to himself again, "How am I going to get anything to eat now?" But the bear knew his thoughts and said, "There will be plenty." So the hunter went with the bear. They traveled until they came to a hole in the side of the mountain. And the bear said, "This is not where I live, but there is going to be a council here, and we will see what they do." They went in, and the hole widened as they went, until they came to a large cave that was like a town hall, and the cave was full of bears. There were old bears, young bears, and cubs, white bears, black bears, and brown bears, and a great white bear was the chief. They went and sat in the corner, but it wasn't long before the other bears scented the hunter, and they began to ask, "What is it that smells bad?" The chief spoke, and he said, "Don't talk so. He's only a stranger come to visit us. Let him alone." There was a shortage of food in the mountains, and the council had been called to decide what to do about it. They had sent messengers all over, and while they were talking, 2 bears came in and reported that they had found a country in the lowgrounds where there were so many chestnuts and acorns that mast was knee-high. And just so you know, mast doesn't always have to refer to a ship's rigging. It can be the fruits and nuts that litter the forest floor. Then all were pleased, and they made ready for a dance. And the dance leader was one that the Indians call Longhams, a great black bear who is always lean. After the dance, the bears noticed the hunter's bow and arrows. One of them said, "Look, this is what man uses to kill us. Let us see if we can manage them. Maybe we can fight man with his own weapons." So they took the bow and arrows from the hunter to try them. They knocked an arrow, and they pulled back the string, but when they let it go, the arrow fell to the ground because the string got caught in their long claws. They saw that they could not use the bow and arrows, and they gave them back to the hunter. When the dance and council were over, the bears started leaving for home, all except the great white bear chief who lived there. And at last, the medicine bear and the hunter went out together. They traveled further until they came to another hole in the side of the mountain. And the bear said, "This is where I live." And they went in. By now the hunter was very, very hungry, and he again wondered how he could get something to eat. But the bear knew his thoughts, and sitting up on his hind legs, he began to rub his stomach like so with his forepaws, and at once he had his paws full of chestnuts, and he gave them to the man. And he rubbed his stomach again like so, and had both paws full of huckleberries, which are related to blueberries, and he gave them to the man. And he rubbed his stomach again like so, and gave the man both paws full of blackberries. And he rubbed his stomach again like so, and had both his paws full of acorns. But the man said that he could not eat them, and that he had had enough already. The man lived in the cave with the bear all winter, until long hair like that of a bear began to cover his entire body. He began to act like a bear, but he still walked like a man. One day, in early spring, the medicine bear said to him, "Your people down in the settlement are getting ready for a grand hunt in these mountains. They will come here and kill me and take these clothes from me." He meant his skin. "But they will not hurt you and will take you home with them." A few days passed, and the bear again said, "Today is the day when the topknots are coming to kill me, but the split noses will find us in this cave first. They will kill me and drag me out of the cave and remove my clothes and cut me in pieces. But before you leave, you must pile leaves over my blood, and then after you have traveled a piece, look back and you will see something." It wasn't long then before they heard the hunters coming up the mountain, and then the dogs found the cave and they began to bark. The hunters looked inside the cave and they saw the medicine bear. And they killed him with their arrows. They dragged him outside the cave and they skinned the bear and they cut him into quarters to carry home. But the dogs kept on barking until they thought there must be another bear inside the cave. And they looked again, and they saw the man in the farther corner, and they thought he must be a bear. But they soon realized that he was the hunter who had been lost the year before. So they went in and they brought him out. Then each hunter took up a load of bear meat to carry home, along with the man and the medicine bear's skin. But before they left, the man made sure to pile leaves over the spot where they had cut up the bear. And after they had gone a short ways, he looked back and he saw the bear rise up from the leaves, shake himself, and go back into the woods. When the men were approaching the settlement, the man who had lived with the bear said to them, "You must shut me up where no one can see me, without any food or water, for 7 days and 7 nights, until the bear nature has left me." So they shut him up alone in a house, and they tried to keep very still about it. But word got out, and the news reached the hunter's wife, who came for her husband. But when she asked the hunters, they would not let her anywhere near him. She came every day and she begged so hard that after 4 or 5 days, they let her have him. She brought him home with her, but a short time later, the man died because he still had the bear's nature and he could not live like a man. If they had kept him shut up and fasting for the full 7 days, he would have become a man again and he would have lived. And that is the end of this story. In this story, we see 2 ways by which the bear feeds mankind. There is the lone hunter who visits the bears and lives among them, and they feed him the whole winter with more food than he could possibly need. And then there are his brothers from the settlements who destroy the bear, and they only gain a carcass to bring back to their village. There will be shortages in these mountains. We must remember to be gracious, to take sparingly, and to take only of that which is given freely. Once again, this has been the Micmac story of the Bear Man from Dover Children's Thrift Classics, Favorite North American Indian Legends, edited by Phillip. Special thanks to my friends Rovina and Emilie for their support, and thank you for listening.